Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Paul K. Dunn, owner advisor of J& Sons Retirement Advisors, protecting the future of my community. Also, proudly supporting Project 1000 mission, financially empowering 1,000 family and friends in 2017 is our mission. Today's topic is enemy of your money, number 5, risk. And we call risk the financial roller coaster. Now, today is number 5. If you have not listened to all of the ones before it, I encourage you to go back and begin at the beginning, all the way from the overview through to the recap, and listen in order because it will give you the best impact. Once you've done that, you can feel free to listen out of order and hone in on those that you want to understand better. And I'm sure number 5, risk, is going to be one of those ones that you may have to revisit more than once just so that you can grasp the information. Risk is like a roller coaster. The bottom line is that what you've seen over the past 30, 40 years when it comes to financial risk, that there's been ups and downs, and it's become the norm. We expect to see crashing markets. We expect to see markets that break record highs. It's clearly an up and down roller coaster ride when you're talking about your financial future, and especially when you're talking about money. When something involves risk, it is extremely important that you understand how to minimize it to its lowest form. Risk, by definition, is a situation involving exposure to danger, and in this case, financial danger. You can expose someone or something valued to danger, harm, or loss. Financially speaking, when your money is at risk, that is the something of value we are speaking of directly. However, indirectly, we are talking about your quality of life. When you leave yourself exposed to risk financially, you set yourself up for catastrophic events that may not be recoverable from. You've heard the story of people losing everything, things like homes, cars, having to file bankruptcy, and losing the ability to have low interest payment options, etc. All of this due to being put at risk and not being able to recover from it. Risk dramatically affects a person's lifestyle. The amount of income you make is directly related to the quality of things you can afford to purchase. In a serious turn of events, you may have to sacrifice a large lump sum of your income, leaving you to fend for yourself financially. Many Americans fail to save even $1,000 for an emergency. And for some of the last studies that we've done and that we've come across, over 60% of America fails to save anything, let alone their 3-month emergency fund. Once your savings is gone and your income is cut, you're in financial danger at that point. You can end up homeless, begging for money or support from the bankrupt government. And that's definitely not a place you want to be in. Is this the type of quality of lifestyle that you would enjoy living? Because I know it's not one that I enjoy. And looking at poverty around America, looking at low income housing and how those things are set up, the environments they're set up in, it's really not something that I would encourage anyone to live in, okay? Let alone being forced to live in those type of situations or in those type of environments. Looking at another aspect of risk is retirement. Now, most plan to retire in an old age because that's just what they were taught, and then settle for an income that's half of what they brought home during their working years. This plan is absurd, and it should never be your option. The quality of life you lead after working should be 100% better than the one you led while actively creating the income in the first place. At the least, you should never agree to let yourself live on an income lower than you made while you were working in your job or active business. A lot of mistakes were made with retirement planning before the crash in 2008. In 2008, a lot of Americans, they watched their retirement plans go up in smoke with the crashing market. And ironically, the wealthy had a higher financial intelligence. They seemed to be still making billions of dollars. And this is the part that concerns me. This is the part that we want to change. This is the consequence of failing to minimize risk, as well as the reward for hedging, which I'll explain shortly. The working class paid consequences in 2008, and the wealthy got rewarded in 2008. Both parties got what they planned for. In order to see into the problem, and in order to understand the solution, let's break down the components of risk. To keep it simple, let's focus on the important parts: your probability of loss and minimizing risk. Let's start with probability of loss, also known as the odds. By definition, probability of loss means how likely is it that you will lose. In order to make it visible, mathematicians came up with the odds, a percentage that tells you how probable you are to win or lose. This makes the formula visible. In the casino and lottery, the odds are always to the house and never predictable. This means that the odds of you winning is very low. Okay? Financially, you must know what your odds are in order to know if they need to be adjusted personally. Okay? I don't figure out odds personally for every situation, but it's better to know what you have at stake. Okay? It's better to know what you have at stake. And that's a more, I would say, a more broad way of looking at it. If it's at risk at all, then you need to know it. Okay? And then if the risk can be minimized, you need to act towards minimizing it to its lowest form. When you look at your probability of loss and hope for the best, you're taking an uncalculated risk that could be detrimental to your financial future. Okay? Instead of going in blind, look at what's at stake and partner with successful professionals to help you determine your probability of loss. The best question you can ask is, how will I lose? What are the biggest problems you find other people having? Taking these questions to professionals can reveal risk factors that are usually overlooked, because most people only want to know how they're going to win. They often overlook the things that could cause them to lose. Okay? And to me, those are more important. How you're at risk, you want to always make a plan to know how you're at risk and put together a plan to minimize or eliminate that risk altogether. Make sense? Okay? Because you need to understand all of these things in order to know how to get your probability of loss to its lowest form. Okay? So the next thing we'll go into is hedging. Hedging is a very important strategy. Okay? It's a strategy that rich people use in order to minimize total losses. Okay? By definition, hedging means to limit or to qualify something by conditions or exceptions. In another way that's easier to understand, hedging is used to protect yourself from risk. The definition says to limit by exceptions or conditions, meaning you set parameters that have to be met before something else happens. A great example is hedging a bet. When you hedge a bet, you place more than one bet. One bet goes with the odds, and the other bets may go against them. If you want to bet on a boxing match, for example, you would place the bigger bet with the fighter winning, but you would place smaller bets or a few smaller bets with the fighter losing to hedge your losses. Okay? The one you favor the most being the fighter to win, and the one you favor the least being the fighter to lose. If the fighter loses, you don't lose as much from the original bet, but it must be enough to cover what you could not afford to lose. Okay, and we're going to do a practical example on this, but it's very important you understand that the whole goal of hedging is to cover the position that you cannot afford to lose. You set an amount of money, you set an amount of savings, you set an amount, okay, of something that you do not want to lose. And then you make sure that you place a bet, a main bet that that has the potential of gaining you a lot of money or a lot of profit, right? And then you set a hedging bet against that to help minimize if things don't go your way, and they will help minimize your losses. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go through a practical example. So if you can, I just want you to take a second. Take a second. I'm going to give you some time to take a second. I would request that you pause this scenario and get a calculator for yourself and maybe a piece of paper. And what you want to do is follow along with the example to try to make sense from hedging. And what I'll request at the end of it is that you continue to send us examples of things that you hedge and things that you could hedge in the future as hypotheticals, just to help push the point a bit further and to help you master the information that we're putting forth, because this is really serious stuff and it can really change the way you make money in your earlier I would say in your next upcoming investment opportunities. Okay, and you have to do this early on in your investment movements, because it's difficult to hedge at the end after you've already made the moves. So these are things that you have to know before going into your investments, and things you have to look forward to going into the investment before you press the go button. Okay, so here's the example. Okay, you bet $5,000 that your boxer will win. The odds are 3-1, meaning if you win, you get 3 times your bet, which is $15,000. Okay. The second bet, which we call the hedge, is going to protect your loss. Okay. So it's going to make sure you don't lose more money than you can afford to lose, but it will allow you to bet enough money to have the potential of winning and make that win count. Okay. Make it worth even going forward with the deal. So in the hedging bet, you bet $2,000 that your boxer will lose, and the odds there are 2-1. This means if your fighter loses, you get 2 times your bet, which is $4,000. Okay, so you've placed 2 bets, one for the fighter to win at $5,000, and then you've placed another one for the fighter to lose at $2,000. So in total now, we've outlaid $7,000. Here's how you organize the information. Before you ever bet, you have to know what you can't lose, okay? And we know in this scenario that we do not want to lose any more than $3,000, okay? That's the maximum we want to lose. The cover or hedge position, okay? The cover or the hedge position is to make sure that this $3,000 is protected. Okay, so this will be sure that we have safety money in order to bring us back. Now we've invested $7,000. Okay, but we can't afford to lose any more than 3. Okay, so this is how you keep the movement. Now in everything, when it in everything investing. In everything profit based, where you're betting, you're gambling, there's risk involved. and you're gonna have to put forth some money. But the better you get at hedging, the less you will lose, and the more opportunity you can put yourself into. And really, this is how you create win-win scenarios for yourself. This is what the rich are doing. Okay, so we set a minimum loss of 3,000. We placed two bets, one of 5,000 and one of 2,000, which gives us a total outlay of $7,000. We have the possibility, if we win, we have the possibility of making 15 grand. Now we've only invested 7. So if we do win this fight, we're going to get 8,000 in our pocket. And this is where the win comes in. But if we lose the fight, we're going to make a little bit of money, which is the $4,000, which is going to bring us down. So all you would do is, since we made the 4,000 and we've bet a total of 7, you do 7,000, take away 4,000, we have 3,000 that we've lost. Okay? That is our minimum position. We couldn't lose any more than 3,000. We've placed 2 bets. We have a very good chance of winning, and we have very good profit if we win. And we've also done the hedging of the bet by placing another bet in conjunction with our first one to make sure that we've lost no more than $3,000. And this, my friend, is considered hedging. Okay, so I use these numbers above and the numbers that I've given you, I use them as an example. However, there are many ways to hedge a zero loss. And that's what I mean by getting better at these scenarios, because the better you get at hedging and understanding how to put money out there in order to bring money back, but then covering that minimum position, the better you will get at investing, my friends. Those are the things that are not being taught in our schools. Okay, those are the things that no one's going over unless you're going to high quality financial schools and managing 250,000 or more of someone's investment, and that's where, you know, most of the rich people, that's where they sit. You know what I mean? That's where they sit. They sit in those brackets where you got to have at least 250K, 500K just to get access to these type of investors that use these type of strategies. Okay, and I wanted to leave this option open for you to submit your own examples. Okay, and if you can submit an example of zero loss, that'd be great. But just use some real world things, you know, that you normally do, and learn how to hedge and see how it works for you. Start to get the concepts down so you can see the type of power this has. It will help you to master the concept and bring your awareness to a higher level. Okay, if you're not a numbers person, that's okay. Use a calculator and simple addition to achieve these answers. It's nothing major here. You just have to know how to place the 2 bets, and you definitely need to go in knowing how much you cannot lose. Okay, and if you're off on your math at the beginning, that's okay too. You can make some mistakes. You can start with smaller amounts. As you make those mistakes, it's going to become clear to you how to correct them. I promise you. Okay, and we're always here for help. Make sure you check out our financially empowered group. We'll have links for that in every post on most of our blog posts. The links are always out there. You can simply send us an email. You can find us on Facebook, #financially empowered. You can look up financial intelligence and see if you can see my face come up on that, because we're taking those hashtags over. Okay. But the bottom line is there are many ways to minimize or eliminate financial risk of your money. The first step is to uncovering where they are. Okay. That's the first step, uncovering where the risks are. And then you have to be diligent in finding your income, and how you find your income is at risk right now. You got to be diligent in looking for that right now, and get to doing what's necessary to minimize or eliminate it. Anywhere where you're at risk in your current financial situation, you want to uncover it and begin to eliminate it. Okay. And the main areas to look for your risk are your earned income from work. How can you protect what you earn from your employer. Okay. Money that is invested for you in stocks and bonds. How can you protect your investments in your long-term accounts like 401ks, IRAs, even Roth IRAs that have tax benefits to them, allow you to pull out tax-free? They're still seen by the government, and the government can stick their hand in your Roth IRA just by passing a simple law, raising simple fees and taxes. And there you go. Your Roth IRA is now up for grabs, and at access. You have now the government has access to it, and they can stick their hand in there. Okay. Also, money that you invest into stock, bonds, and options. How can you protect yourself from losing money with investment strategies? What systems minimize your risk and maximize your gains? Okay, those are some places to start. Okay, you can check this out at the blog. Make sure you read along, you follow along, and do the exercises. And once you finish, going through all of the 5 enemies, make sure you turn back around and you touch on this, once a week. Just come in and pick one and just keep putting this, into your spirit, keep putting it into your financial intelligence, and start to use it in your everyday life. I can guarantee you a change in how you look at money. And that's my whole goal, is to change how you see money, because most of us don't know or understand how money actually works. So my goal first is to change how you look at it, so that I can introduce to you some different theories and some different concepts to help you understand how it truly works. Okay, so this is the final number for us. This is going to be the last recording in direct relation to the numbers of the enemies. But there is one more called the recap, and it's just us going over what we went through in the 5 enemies of money. Okay, so I thank you for following through with us. Any questions, get to us soon. But until next time, okay, I just wanted to wish you prosperity, abundance, and success in all that you do. This is Paul K. Dunn. I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.